Good evening. It is the club. It is a Monday night. It's Ray, your host this week, and we are brought to you by the Pitch Sport Football fan app, giving the fans a voice. Get your free download on the App Store and Google Play Store. And we're also sponsored by Myers Cookies, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Lovely looking things. I'm going to have this at the end of the podcast, so shout out there. But look, tonight I'm joined by Robbie, Barry and Gar. We are going to look back at the Bournemouth game. We're going to pick out a couple of performances from that. We're going to discuss what is now the context of the fact we only need 2 wins. And maybe not even 2 wins. Maybe one will be enough, depending on Manchester City. I can't imagine they will lose both games, so I think we've got to win at least one more game. We'll look forward to Atletico. We will have a discussion around Corona, and if we've got time, we'll discuss our player of the season, which I think is the waters have been muddied over the last few weeks. I think we were some pretty confident shouts about a month ago, but now with what's gone on, 3 defeats and so on, and players going in and out the team, it's probably a little bit more difficult to pick. So, Robbie, we'll start with you. Bournemouth Saturday, a lot of nerves from myself in particular after what had gone before. We get the results, but what was your overall kind of view coming out of the game? Obviously, we didn't have the backdrop of the Man City results, but what did you think just purely on us on Saturday?
Well, coming into it, I thought maybe this was the match where we put all our bad form to bed and, you know, hope to come out 3 or 4-0 winners, but it wasn't to be.
No.
We did okay. We played well in parts. I thought Salah played very well.
Yeah.
I thought he was excellent. I thought it goes without saying Milner had a great game as well. But we concede, and it's here we go again. What's going to happen now? You know.
Yeah.
But 2 mistakes from Bournemouth, and we get our goals. And I think we did okay. We kind of managed the game pretty well. Bournemouth were quite good when they did make a move into our final third. I was impressed with them at times.
Better than what probably we would have expected.
Yeah, a bit like West Ham a few days last week or whatever.
Before,
They surprised me, you know, and they did cause us problems, obviously, with the Milner clearance and that offside chance right at the end, which it was nearly
borderline, really, wasn't it?
It was. I was really, don't know. I was about to leave, walk away, but we got there in the end. But you know, I'd give it probably a 6 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? Barry, the first goal. The Bournemouth goal, it's a blatant push, really. I mean, it was ridiculous. Firstly, it was ridiculous that the referee didn't see it or give it, but it was just as ridiculous that VAR wasn't brave enough to overturn it. You know what I mean? Like, there was a couple of angles there. One in particular was extremely blatant. You know, Joe Gomez isn't, you know, his own body momentum doesn't carry him in that direction.
Exactly, yeah.
Were you expecting it to be disallowed?
Yeah, totally. When I seen it, I'd actually just sat down to watch it when that happened.
Yeah.
And I seen that, and like, you know, they say it has to be clear and obvious.
Yeah.
And it was clear and obvious. But also, I think the whole thing, which is what people are talking about for the whole season, is why the referees aren't going over to actually look at the monitor. Because if somehow he didn't see that, which he clearly didn't, because he didn't give it as a foul, he should have been over to the monitor to clarify it. And if he had done that, he would have given it free, I'd say. So thankfully we got back into it and won the game. But yeah, you know, if you had lost that game or dropped points because of that decision, it would have been pretty disappointing.
Yeah. And Gar, I mean, it was an early kickoff anyway, so the atmosphere, I know they made a massive effort. They had all the flags, you know, you could see there was a bit of a rally there to try and make an atmosphere. But obviously you go 1-0 down in the circumstances, and it could have gone badly wrong for us, but we do respond, don't we? We do respond.
Certainly, we're a slightly bit better in possession. Not amazing in fairness, as good as we have been, I suppose, to what's got us here. But there was a few worrying performances. I would have thought Fabinho. I don't know what's gone on with this guy. We know it takes time to come back from injury. Whatever level you play, it takes time. But he looks so far off.
He doesn't even look fit. Never mind match fit.
Yeah, he looks like he's been out on it for weeks.
Yeah,
it's scary, like, because we're going to a big game, and I've seen shouts in the group. I've seen shouts everywhere. Does he start on Wednesday?
Well, yeah, he's certainly not an automatic selection anymore, is he?
If Henderson's come straight back in, he's had a little layoff himself. Does he throw him straight in and play Chiesa? Play Genie as well. Does he play Ox? It's hard to call, but even Ox wasn't amazing the weekend.
No.
I thought Mane was patchy at times. Firmino as well.
Still way off.
Another home game. Yeah. He's not scored, but listen, he does a huge role for the team anyway. But there was so many players that just didn't look right at a time when we need it, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, the first goal, a bit of an iffy ball from Mane, but Salah, he still makes something out of it.
Lovely finish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great goal.
A lovely finish.
Great goal. And then the second goal, obviously a great ball through from Van Dijk, and Mane runs onto it and tucks it away. I mean, look, we can criticise, but two of our front three have scored goals and have won us the game. So it's just another example, isn't it, where we've dug out a result. I mean, the two players that I wanted to really touch on, lads, was first of all James Milner. Yeah. I thought from seeing him in the tunnel and the way he seemed to be galvanising the players, he clearly took the fact that he was captain very seriously. And I thought, he's playing left back, not his preferred position, but he just goes out there, Robbie, and he just leads by example from start to finish. Yeah,
absolutely. He leads by example. I think something that we've been missing over the last few games is the talking to the referee and being in the referee's ear. He was in his. I was about 20-25 minutes in, and he was really he was almost talking himself into the book, wasn't he? Yeah. I mean, we've missed that since Henderson's been off the pitch. I think Fabinho is a quiet type of player. He just gets on and plays his game, and well, he's been really effective, but apart from the last few weeks or whatnot. But he just lets his play do the talking, whereas and Ginny just runs around the place and does what he has to do. But he doesn't really get into the refs here. But Milner was, I thought, constantly in his ear. Yeah, because basically the ref was shy. I thought he had a terrible game. So
again, we find ourselves berating the ref.
Yeah. But, I mean, from full back to produce I thought it was a man of the match performance, is something else. And that clearance was probably one of the best bits of play that we'll see this season, definitely probably the best defensive bit of play we'll probably see this season.
Yeah, it was outstanding, wasn't it?
It was as good as a goal, wasn't it? It was.
It was. I was celebrating it like a goal because when you're faced with those situations, you know exactly what it's worth, don't you? And he actually gets the ball with a bit to spare. That was the most impressive part of it. It looked unrecoverable, but he gets there with a stride to spare.
You'd want Gomez or someone going back to get that with the pace when you wouldn't think Milner get back that quickly, and he did.
It was all determination. That's what it was.
If you look at the still picture, the way he gets his foot on it as well, that's gone to the roof of the net.
Yeah, it was outstanding, wasn't it? So, that was a big positive, obviously, James Milner and what he brought to the team, and it was badly needed. We've mentioned Fabinho, and that was a bit of a concern. I've got a bit of a concern, and how much it will sort of mean in the long run. But I've got a bit of concern about Adrian. I'm not convinced. Yeah. What about you, Barry? Do you think we're missing Alisson now for this Champions League game? We've seen he looked shaky against Chelsea. I thought he looked a bit shaky again on Saturday. What's your view at the moment on him?
Yeah, I don't know. You could say because he's not playing regularly that he's like a little bit rusty or whatever, but like I think you go back to when he came in at the start of the season and he was brilliant. Like, I thought for definite when Alisson was injured at the start of the season, we dropped points because he wasn't there, and we didn't, and he's been brilliant. But I don't know, maybe you can, because he just came to the club, maybe that was like some sort of honeymoon period or something. Yeah. And now he's like, and he did it the same thing, the goal that he conceded against Chelsea, where he kind of just went to punch it and it just deflected off him and went in. Yeah. He did that again against Bournemouth, except luckily it went out for a corner.
Exactly.
And after he does it, he kind of just looks around going, how did that happen?
Oh, yeah. He was baffled.
Yeah, he goes to the right, doesn't it?
Like, instead of just taking it into his stomach, he just does it and then goes, shit, well, you know, what happened there? So, against Atletico, like, I think if you go back to the Barcelona game last year, I think the importance of Alisson is underestimated. Everyone goes on about Wijnaldum, obviously, and what he done. But, like, when we were 1-0 up in the first half, we were under a lot of pressure, and Alisson had to make a good few saves. And would you have the confidence that Adrian is going to do that on Wednesday? I'm not quite sure after his last few performances, because he's going to have to make a couple of important saves in this game, because they're going to get chances. Like, so, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about him, but
even long range pot shots, they're going to be taking them, aren't they? Atletico, they're going to be chancing their arm.
Just the fact. He's not, you know, taking the ball into himself when and doing what he was doing. Even when the ball's coming over from crosses, he's going punching it, and it could go anywhere when he's doing that. So yeah, it definitely is a concern ahead of the Atletico game. Yeah.
I mean, look, realistically, it's not going to damage us in the league, but it's the fact that we've got this Champions League on the horizon. That's really the one game now we need to get through with Adrian. Hopefully then Alisson's back for any potential future Champions League games at this stage. And any other areas? I know you were mentioning a few things there, area for concern, Gar. I mean, would you... See, if we had an alternative to Bobby, you'd seriously think about giving him a rest, wouldn't you?
Would at the moment, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, if you had that.
Yeah.
You know, let's just say if Werner was settled, or if he was in already. But now it is a concern, isn't it? You know, I know the other two guys score, but he's got a chance. He's 10 yards out and he pings it over, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he's obviously a bit rattled in his own confidence in front of goal.
Yeah.
But in fairness, you can't. His work rate is never questionable, like what he does for the side and how he drops in deep and the lads interchanges. You know, it's never questionable, I suppose. You can't really have a go at him.
He needs that monkey off his back, though, doesn't he? He had a great chance there, didn't he, towards the end?
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's a forward, so I'm sure it's on his mind.
Be nice if he done it now against Atletico,
wouldn't it? Just if he scored. I mean, could you imagine the celebration if it's Bobby who scores the winner,
especially at home?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It would be absolutely unreal.
Thought Trent at times was a bit sloppy.
Yeah, and he has been the last few weeks, hasn't he?
He cut inside a few bit, and hasn't been a lot of that this year. In fairness, teams haven't targeted him.
Yeah.
Like I said, a couple of little sloppy games lately, but it's an awful lot of the players, in fairness.
Would you put it down to fatigue? Like, you have to accept at some stage after that run that's going to come into play, isn't it? Like, so
he hasn't been rotated much, has he, this season?
There hasn't been someone to jump in for him, in fairness.
That's the thing. Like that Nico Williams lad, he's done well and he's come in. He's done okay against Chelsea as well, but he was giving the ball away a bit as well.
He was hot and cold through that game, I thought.
I think we have to. I think he could be someone to put in next season on a more regular basis, but I don't know you'd probably need someone a bit more experienced, wouldn't you, to be going in there? I can give Trent a bit of a rest.
Yeah, I think now with the Gomez experiment over at right back, that has meant limited options to rotate in that right back position. I think it is really up to Nico Williams to maybe step up next season and give Trent maybe half a dozen games off. Do you know what I mean?
It'll only be when Trent suffers an injury of some sort, because I can't see Klopp pulling him.
No.
For what he does tactically, for what he does to our formation, I can't see Klopp just taking him out straight away. It's gonna be an injury. The same that happened to Trent, in fairness, got him his run.
Yeah,
it's gonna be an injury that gets him a good few games, in fairness.
We've been lucky though with the both fullbacks. Like, I know Robertson was out the weekend, but it's a precaution. But like, if one of them had got a bad injury at some stage this season, we would have been
out for 3 months, sort of thing. Yeah,
like, you know, you'd have to throw in Milner or right or left back when a long term. And like, Milner was brilliant at the weekend, but over a period of games, you know, a fast winger or a good winger would you know, he'd be probably found out, Milner, wouldn't he?
Remember him against Wolves there.
Zaha,
he was awful. Zaha as well. He was awful there.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see him against Palace. No. Somehow, I think Rob
unless it's won already.
Unless it's won at Goodison beforehand. So, let's just talk a bit about the context of this now, because obviously we go into the weekend off the back of the Watford defeats, the FA Cup defeats, a little bit irrelevant in terms of the title race, but we needed 4 wins still, and we come out of the weekend only needing 2. That result yesterday was just like, I wasn't expecting it. For all that United have been on a bit of a run, Robbie, I mean, was that something that you seen coming yourself?
I thought United had a chance.
Yeah.
Because, number one, they were at home.
Yeah.
I know they've beaten City twice away.
Yeah.
But I still think they were at home, and then when I saw De Bruyne wasn't playing,
that was a boost.
Okay, that might be interesting.
That was a big boost for United.
Your man Fernandes, I think he's a good player. He played well yesterday as well.
They love him, don't they?
Oh, they do. Yeah,
should have signed him.
Good player.
He has Suarez's teeth and everything. He's he could have been a good player, but I was hopeful. I thought maybe to get a point.
Yeah.
But I thought Maguire was absolutely shocking again yesterday. But as a team, I thought they defended okay. But I don't know. He's not worth 80-odd million.
Aguero was struggling. You could see Aguero. From the start he was struggling, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Obviously gives Maguire a bit of a hand around, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I just had a funny feeling that they'd get something out of them. I didn't think they'd get the 3 points, but the City keeper was he had just one of those games.
That goal at the end, Barry.
But even at the start, when he lost control of the ball on his goal line,
Martial ends up taking one at the into the post, doesn't he? Sort of thing. Yeah.
I thought he was poor for the first one.
Yeah,
the first goal was 2.
He was.
He could have been stronger for that as well. But
we take them all day, won't we?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And the goal at the end, Barry, just madness.
Yeah, anyone who has had any doubts of whether who's better between Alisson and him, I think there's no argument now. Just that was. I fancied United to get something actually yesterday. I just think, for me, I think City, they've kind of given up a little bit. They're not really trying the last. Well, they didn't feel like they were trying yesterday. You know what I mean? They played okay, but as you said, United defended very well and they got the win. Anyway, United that they deserved. I
mean, City won their 2 cup games. They obviously won the Champions League first leg. Their eggs are in the cup baskets now, aren't they? Sort of thing. They've obviously already got one in the bag. They obviously winning the Champions League, they would consider a massive achievement. But in some ways, if they were offered 3 cups, including the Champions League at the start of the season, without the Premier League, they'd have bitten your hand off, wouldn't they? So, in effect, they've got everything in front of them still, really, haven't they? With being in a commanding position, so you can kind of see why the league has completely kind of dropped down their priority at this stage, which opens up the potential now for Wednesday. It's Wednesday, isn't it? They're playing Arsenal on Wednesday, which is a great bit of rearranging now from our point of view, because, Arsenal are better than they were earlier on in the season.
Certainly getting results anyway.
They're getting results. Yeah. They seem a little bit more solid at the back. They're not brilliant still, but they've got the goal threat. City do seem vulnerable at the back. Are we thinking there's a possibility here that this gets brought forward to the potential clincher at Goodison, dare we say?
The Arsenal side just looks a lot happier, doesn't it?
Yeah. Are they that much happier with Arteta, yeah?
Listen, they're not playing teams off the park, but you can see definitely to a man the psychology of them.
Yeah.
They're totally happier. Even Ozil's playing really well at the moment, in fairness to him. And you'd see what he was doing for the previous manager. He wasn't doing nothing for Mr. Sneaks.
Yeah.
They're fighting for one another. You can see the difference, you know what I mean? And the fans are reacting to that as well.
They completely flip their mentality, isn't it? They're all for one, they're celebrating goals together, whereas before there was 1 or 2 of them, they were like a team at loggerheads.
Totally, yeah. So I definitely can see there's a chance there that could happen. It'd be unbelievable if they lost both of the games and we won it without even kicking a ball. But then,
I know,
Arteta against City.
Yeah, but
and that game is only really taking place now because they got knocked out of the Europa League by Olympiacos. It's almost like a little quirk of fate there that they're playing this game. Oh. Otherwise, they would have been in Europa League action. Do you know what I mean? So, the other aspect for me as well is Arteta. Obviously, he knows certain aspects of City, and he should be able to pinpoint certain weaknesses.
Yeah,
he knows that setup inside out.
Yeah.
So it is going to be a very interesting situation. The only thing, I guess, for us is that we're not really going to get to see an awful lot of it because we're playing at the same time. So, they kick, I'm just looking here, they do kick off a little bit earlier. So we do get to see sort of half an hour of it and then concentrate on our own game. But like that's going on at the same time. So, potentially we could be bouncing out of Anfield on Wednesday night having, beaten Atletico Madrid on a famous Anfield night with the prospect of them going to Goodison on the Monday.
Just go straight across the park and queue
just stay camp outside for the next 5 days.
Yeah.
It would be some night, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What happens if it's a draw? It's 2 draws.
If it's two draws, then it's still a possibility. I mean, Burnley is no gimme. It never is. I mean, they beat them. Are they at home or are they?
City are at home.
Yeah, they're at home. Yeah. If it had been at Burnley, I might have thought slightly differently. So you would fancy them, but you just don't know. The heads have got. I think Pep's head's gone a little bit as far as the league's concerned.
I watched Burnley the weekend, and I've often slated Burnley online, and I have to say they look a different side the last few.
Yeah,
they're actually playing. They're playing a bit of football. Yeah, McNeil is a huge talent. They look a total different side. Chris Wood is banging in goals.
He is.
Them boys will certainly give City's back for major trouble because again they weren't great at the weekend, were they?
No. I mean, if you consider 5th as a Champions League spot, which that's the situation right now, you go from Manchester United in 5th with 45 points down to Burnley or even Palace in 11th with 39. Only 6 points there. Separating all them teams for a Champions League spot. You throw Arsenal in that mix as well. That they've got a lot to play for. So there's teams here who are coming up against City who, in theory, have now got more, more motivation than City have, really. So, I mean, look, even if it doesn't come to that, we're looking at a home game against Palace, and you would think it's not going to go. Would you say, Robbie, you wouldn't see it going beyond that Palace game now? Or do you think there's a possibility of things not going to plan against Everton and then having to maybe drag it on one more week till the Etihad?
I think a lot of people are taking that match for granted in Goodison.
Did anyone see Everton at the weekend and how appalling they were?
Awful. They were the highlights. They were awful. Yeah.
Absolutely woeful. As good as Chelsea played, and it was probably their first 20 minutes, probably the best. I mean, I've seen a few Chelsea games, and they were excellent, but Everton just did not give 2 shits in that game. They just wanted to get straight back on the coach and get back home. They did it. They were clear, for me, they were just saving themselves up for next week.
Yeah, that's their cup final, isn't it? Yeah. They raise themselves for that. Like, even just to delay our chance to lift the league or win the league. But as Robbie said, I think some people might be taking it for granted because look, they did the same thing last year, 0-0.
Yeah,
the derbies at Goodison, they usually try to bring us down to their level, don't they? So I could see them possibly doing that, but depending on how our form is, like if we get a good win against Atletico, I think that'll get the confidence up ahead of the derby anyway.
Yeah. And Gar, what are you thinking?
I did say Palace before. Palace. I think it's happens at Palace.
Yeah, it's the most obvious one now, isn't it?
Yeah. Glenn Johnson dies of a heart attack.
What?
because he lost the league for us a few years ago with an awful performance. So Karma's gonna come back and bite. Yeah. He was woeful that night at Selhurst Park. I can never forgive him for that. So
The league was lost at that point
No, it
anyway.
wasn't.
Did he come on as a sub in that game, or was he started?
I don't know. He was just towards it. That's all I remember.
Yeah,
So he deserved something to happen to him for being so bad, didn't we?
that's in the past now.
Louis was crying. Remember, it was a sad night. It was a really sad night.
He'd still get his medal if Man City are stripped of all these leagues. So, that might be the type of karma he's looking for, Gar.
No, I think it happened to Palace. Like I said before, Palace.
Palace, yeah.
Palace, yeah.
Yeah. I actually don't care at this stage. You just want it to happen. It's like Christmas now, isn't it? It's on the horizon. We're in December. We can sense it. The snow's falling. We just need Santa to come pretty soon and deliver that Premier League trophy. So, look, we'll put that on the back burner for now, and we'll come back to it in a bit and when we discuss the whole Corona malarkey. Champions League, Wednesday night, another big night at Anfield. Robbie, who are we expecting any major surprises team wise? I guess the midfield is the big.
The midfield is the
question,
isn't
really? With Henderson back in the frame, yeah. Would you throw him back in? Because I've got concerns about throwing him straight back in myself, unless we're willing to say, okay, he's coming in for 60.
Yeah, I think that's what he might do, and keep Milner in reserve for after 60.
Yeah.
There's no way I can't see him lasting the 90 minutes.
Milner or Keita, depending on the circumstances.
I would play him. I would play Wijnaldum, and I still would play Fabinho.
Yeah.
I still think he did okay on Saturday. He wasn't great, but I wouldn't bring in Oxlade-Chamberlain or Keita to start. As you said, the circumstances, maybe get them on later on, but I think we need a kind of a functional midfield rather than a very, very open attacking midfield. Yeah. Just let's see how it goes. And then, if we're struggling later on, then bring on Keita or Ox or whatever. Yeah. To try and get a goal or try and open them up a bit. Yeah. But I think at the start, I think Jurgen Klopp does that anyway. Naturally, in Europe, he likes a more functional midfield to start. So that's who I can see. So I think he will take a gamble on Henderson. I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
The players look to the captain looks to the manager, and the manager looks to you. It's time to be heard. Pitch is the new app that gives football fans the voice you deserve. Get your views sent straight to media pundits, commentators on the club you love. From dodgy penalties to rating match performance, make your opinion count.
The manager's looking to sub him off, and the fans agree.
Download the Pitch app for free today. Be heard.
Yeah, and Barry, fairly certain that the back four will be the normal back four. Robertson, more precaution than anything else.
Yeah, it seems like that. I think he came out, didn't he, after Klopp on Saturday and said it was just he felt something in training or in the warm-up. Was the warm-up? It was training on the Friday, and it was just a precaution for Wednesday. So yeah, I'd expect
wasn't even on the bench, was he?
No, he wasn't on the bench. He was sitting beside Henderson, wasn't he? Yeah, it'll be the same. Obviously, Adrian in goal, and then Robertson, Van Dijk, Gomez, and Trent. Yeah, just the midfield, isn't it? That's going to be. I think with Fabinho, there's obviously a shout not to play him because of his form. But as Robbie said, I think Klopp will play him. Klopp doesn't normally just drop a player because he thinks he's not playing well. He usually stays loyal to the players he puts in there. And I think Fabinho, Gini, Henderson are his main men there in the midfield. And I think if Henderson doesn't make it, I'd definitely put Milner in there anyway, especially after his performance on Saturday. Yeah. And then as regards to the kind of more attacking options, Wijnaldum, Ox, I think, again, they're better coming off the bench, particularly Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think just when he starts, he just doesn't seem to be able to impact the game the same as...
And then he fades as well.
So if he could come on, if you needed a goal playing into the cup last half hour, he's your man to come on. He can shoot from distance. So I think that's probably the best option.
I think we'll have Divock for that as well, won't we? Yeah. I think if we need a goal, I think we can expect to see Divock at some point.
He hasn't been great though, has he? Really?
No, he hasn't. No.
Like, he hasn't really shown that he can. Like last season when he was coming on for cameos, he was getting goals and he was making an impact. Whereas like the away leg when he came on at half time. Was it half time he came on at second half? I thought he was awful. He just didn't do anything. He just was like trying things, and usually when he's on the left wing trying to do Mane's role, it just doesn't work for him.
No.
Like, I think he's better off in the centre.
Yeah. But he seems to persist with him down that left side, doesn't he, to try and run. And he does, to be fair, he does tend to, he can beat a man or two, but then he sort of cuts inside constantly, and he just, his decision making is pretty woeful, isn't it? He's not, there's no killer ball, there's just nothing, there's nothing there at the moment from him. He's just really, he's really struggling. He really
because
is.
He's not getting games, I suppose. He's not match fit, or but he's showed it before. When he's not playing regularly, he can come in and do a job. So yeah, it's a bit strange that when he's coming on the last while, he hasn't really been able to do anything.
Yeah.
But hopefully Wednesday's the game where he changes that, because he usually knows when to get a goal on the big occasion.
Especially on the European stage. And Guy, you're our kind of European correspondent and scout. What do you expect? Who do you expect to come?
Since Joe Felix been back the last couple of games, I've watched him since he come back.
He is back, is he? That was what I was actually going to ask.
He scored the weekend as well.
Okay,
but he seems to be a bit more open when he plays.
Conceding, like
because
prone to conceding.
He's not as defensive as
whoever was in there.
Your workhorse stuff that Costa would do for you, etc. So they are slightly open. They were open the weekend. They drew 2-2.
Another 2-2, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that the so-called breaks in midfield starts, as the lads have just said.
Yeah.
Obviously with Fabinho starting as well. Because Joe will look to drop in and pick up the ball around there. I'd see Fabinho starting and sitting in there, and Henderson. I think Wednesday's all about intensity, isn't it? And that atmosphere will bring that intensity. If you start oxing them type of lads, it's not really the game from if you start Henderson, Gini.
Yeah.
That intensity.
Just win that ball back.
They were the people who played against Barca last year. And they're the people who provide that intensity.
Yeah.
Lift the crowd a bit. Henderson puts in a big tackle. Fabinho, can spray balls. He hasn't been doing it. But listen, maybe it's the game that he lights up, he starts to get a bit of form into him. But I just, as the lads have said, I know there's been a few shouts from not to start, but I think he starts.
Yeah. I think he's been, I think with Henderson coming back, he will, he won't have as much to do. I think he's been kind of isolated at times in the last few games on his own without Henderson.
Rob, did you notice the weekend he was over the right hand side a lot? He was getting pushed over to the right a lot.
Yeah.
And when Henderson's there, he doesn't have to do
exactly.
that. Henderson tends to cover Trent's run.
That's his spot.
And the weekend there was a couple of balls that came in, and Fabinho was out far right. You're sort of looking, going, what the hell is he? But you're missing that dynamic probably with Henderson out of the side. So
I don't think he'll have as much to do,
with Henderson back in there,
really, rather than looking out for other people as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do we expect Atleti to approach this? Do you think they just try and soak it up and catch us on the break? And I mean, if I'm there in their scouting team, I'm looking at ways to exploit Adrian. To be honest with you, either with shots from distance, or getting amongst it from corners and stuff like that.
That's what Joe Felix is capable of. Shots from distance, and just worried about Adrian at the moment. He seems to be dropping things and flipping things around. It's worrying,
Yeah, his confidence can't be too good at the moment, Adrian, after that goal he conceded against Chelsea, and just the way he's been playing, as we mentioned earlier on. So yeah, I'd say Atletico will be targeting that, but I think their main objective is just to defend for their lives. But I think, if they do get a goal, it's going to be very difficult, because I can't see us get 3 goals against them, really.
But the key is to not concede the first goal. That's where the task becomes mammoth, really, doesn't it? Yeah. But if we go a goal up, 2 goals up, and then they get one back, and then we have to push on again for another goal, that's well within our capabilities, even if it's, with 5 minutes to go and they score and they silence the crowd momentarily, and we need to find another goal. We've always got that in us, but it's the thing that really concerns me, and has done really since the first leg, is the thoughts of us conceding the first 15 minutes, like we did on Saturday. In some ways, I was glad to see us get that out of our system, hopefully. That we got caught a bit sort of cold there at the weekend, and hope that, everyone is absolutely on it, from the first whistle. And I think with the crowd and all that sort of stuff, like it's almost a given at this stage, isn't it? So what's your prediction then, Robbie, for it's funny because Andy, his original prediction when we were looking quite far out at this time, maybe a couple of weeks before the first leg, and he predicted drama. He predicted we would lose the first leg and it would be a huge Anfield night, that would go down into the folklore again. So are you going along those lines, Robbie?
I was thinking about it. I think they may score. I think they will score.
Yeah.
I think we'll win 3-1, but it'll be a nervy last 15 minutes. We'll be on the edge of our seats. I don't think it's going to be the glory night. I think it's going to be, just praying and biting our nails and just getting through. So it's a bit of skin of our teeth,
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope we win 5-0, but I just can't see it. No,
can't see it. Barry?
Yeah, I think Atletico are going to score as well. So I'm gonna be positive and say 3-1 as well, but it's like I could easily see us go out and away goals as well, which was because it's to score 3 goals against Atletico is going to be very difficult. But yeah, I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going to be positive.
I think there'll be a lot of 3-1s because I think I think most people can see us conceding, but then not many people can bring ourselves to kind of predict things like 1-1 or 2-1 or something that ends up with us going out. What about you, Gar?
I was going to go in tandem with the lads, but I'm going to go against it.
Okay.
I'm going to go 2-0 win.
2-0, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have a bit of faith.
And would they do that? And would they do that? You're saying that all gets done and dusted in 90 minutes, or do you think we need a bit of extra time?
I think it's a Scuttery one.
I mean, imagine if you go to extra time, like 1-0 go to extra time, like that really is proper kind of almost like sudden death stuff, then, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the last 15 minutes, you're bringing Milner on, you're bringing Matip on.
No, don't say Matip.
You're bringing Divock on centre half as well.
It'd be interesting to see if we're chasing a goal in the last 15-20 minutes, just start playing into the cops just to see how Atletico deal with that. We seen Barcelona last year, they just fell apart, but I don't think Atletico are that type of team. They've got a stronger mentality, but it will be interesting to see how they deal with that in if Liverpool are going at them for the last 15-20 minutes, can they keep us out?
I think they live through their gaffer's mentality,
exactly,
don't they?
Yeah.
Whereas Barca had Valverde last year,
they just fell apart.
He just stood looking at games anyway.
Yeah.
I think we will come out all guns blazing on Wednesday. I think we'll look to, I can see us being 2-0 up after 20 minutes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. But then it could just go in any direction. Do you know that way?
Yeah.
Like that initial, all guns blazing, get in the driving seat. But then it becomes edgy, doesn't it? Do you know that way?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going to predict us going through 3-1 as well, because it's just the most logical kind of combination of events, really. But I do fancy us to get out the blocks quick and use the crowd to our advantage, and obviously everything that goes before it, the bus welcome and all that sort of stuff. I think the place will be absolutely rocking, because I think there'll be a lot of relief, a lot of anxiety over the last 10 days or so will just have been lifted by what happened at the weekend. And I think there'll be a lot of freedom both in the crowd and with the players, because in a way, look, this Champions League in a way is a bit of a free hit now. It's almost mission accomplished, isn't it, in the league? Yeah. We won the thing last season. We got to the final the previous season. Competition owes us nothing at this point, does it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I still want both.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
That's because we're greedy.
Yeah.
That's because we're greedy. And do you know the other thing about winning it again, for me, it stops Manchester City winning it. Because I just do not want to see them win that thing before they take up this potential ban anyway. I mean, it might get overturned, but I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them win. I want to see their agony. I'd almost prefer to see United win it again before I'd prefer to see City win it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Agree with you, yeah.
Because of how they've got to where they've got.
Traditionalist.
Yeah. So that's the Champions League, and it remains to be seen actually when it comes to the Champions League, if we do get to the next round, whether any of them games actually have any crowds and any atmosphere, or whether it's going to be behind closed doors. I mean, interestingly, the move now for Serie A to shut down, I don't know what implications that has on the Italian teams who are left in the Champions League.
They can play against international other teams from other countries. They can still.
Seems mad a bit, doesn't it? Seem a little bit mad, doesn't it?
They can still have a crowd there for the Champions League games.
No, I'd say closed doors, but the fact that they can still allow a team to come into Italy, and then go back to their own country would seem a bit bizarre. But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's
a bit inconsistent.
It is inconsistent. Yeah. You've got Napoli who are left in it, aren't they? Yeah. You've got Juventus who are left in it.
Yeah.
And is that it? Is it just the two Italian teams at this stage?
Atalanta.
Atalanta look dead certs to get through to the next round. So,
and that they're in the worst region, the north.
Yeah.
Great side.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, they're the wild cards.
5-3 wins all day. Great side. Yeah.
How many
can't
did they score?
Did they
score? Did they get a 7-2 win or something?
Yeah, against Lecce away at the other. I think it was last weekend.
Yeah, not this weekend. Last weekend.
They play last man back. Great, don't play with the keyboards.
So it was Ajax last season, it was Liverpool the season before, and it's Atalanta this season, isn't it? Who's this kind of wild card team that would teams want to get them in the next round? I don't know. It's either you're either going to have a mad game, or you're going to come home with the coronavirus. One or the other.
One of our ex-targets plays. Remember Lewis Muriel, is it?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a bit of a head case as far as I know.
Okay.
So the forward's really good, actually.
Yeah. So this whole coronavirus stuff, I mean, I was actually, it's funny today, I was texting a mate of mine who works for the club, and he decided to pull a little bit of a trick on me and tell me that the plan was to lift the trophy at Melwood behind closed doors and to live stream it on Facebook, which I fell for hook, line and sinker. And I was saying, oh, well, I suppose we could lift it for against whoever we play first home game. I suppose, if that's what has to happen, that's what has to happen. And all these visions of, lads standing on wheelie bins at Melwood trying to get glimpses of the trophy, of Hendo doing his trophy lift before the bulldozers moved in and they went to Kirby.
Drones sent in everywhere.
Yeah, drones.
Do it in the canteen in Melwood.
Yeah, the canteen lady hands it over to Hendo.
I was thinking about this. If we did win it against Palace, could they give us the trophy then? Because
no.
Why not?
You don't get it till the end of the season.
But this is exceptional circumstances.
It's all about the product. It's all about the brands. Will the Premier League want an empty Liverpool lifting that in an empty stadium, or would they rather have them lifting it at Anfield?
In some ways, we might be doing them a massive favour by wrapping it up so early, and why wouldn't they? I personally, I'm horrified at the thought, because I'm going over for the Chelsea game. I won't be there at the Palace game, and I've got my mind set on watching us lift that trophy at the end of the Chelsea game in May. But now I have to say it's looking highly, highly unlikely.
Yeah,
I mean, all joking aside, this is, it's great that Cheltenham's going ahead and all that this week, but I think almost it seems like an inevitability that, probably after the Palace game, it's looking a bit dodgy depending on the situation. Just like transfers, Corona is very fluid.
We had to cancel the day trippers bus in the Irish parade as well. It's harsh.
Oh yeah,
I know.
Planning the bus parade in Dublin.
Straight after the Everton game. Yeah, we're going to go straight down to the parade and get the float sorted out, weren't we?
Gav was out getting the bus today, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was. He was bringing down 64 empty cans to hang off the side of it.
A blow Premier League trophy as well for the fun.
And a Paddy His Life flag coming out the back. I mean, it was all there. It was all ready, but it's all being cancelled. But No, I mean, joking aside, it's like, are we cursed? Are we cursed, Barry?
Yeah, it's pretty worrying, all right. I was kind of, for like, when people were talking about it, particularly, rival fans, I was like, that's not going to happen. But as every day passes, it just becomes more and more of a reality. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely, like, I can see, like, the Palace game, as Robbie was saying, I think it would make sense to do for us to get the trophy after that game if we win it. And I think I read something today that the club are thinking of going into negotiations to get that to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
Really?
Yeah, I read it there today, so hopefully that's going to happen. Because yeah, as you said, if they're going to stick to what normally happens and it's the end of the season at the Chelsea game, like, I think it's going to be behind closed doors by then.
The thing is, in some ways, it would be sensible for them to. I know. In this day and age, it's hard to keep things on the QT, but it would make sense for them to try and negotiate that as late as possible, just to stop the massive, there's going to be a massive influx anyway.
Yeah.
But I think if they left that announcement to say 2 days before, for example, I think it limits people being able to flock to the city. Do you know what I mean? Say, announce it, the game's on the Saturday, announce it maybe on the Thursday, that this is, we'll know where we stand by then, really. And the odds are probably quite high because City play earlier on in the day as well. So there's a double chance of winning that the league on that day, assuming, that City win their games and we beat Everton and all that. There's still a lot of, I suppose, football to be played. But for me, like, I never even give it a thought until today, really. The kind of the fact that it makes sense to bring it forward.
The parade as well, though, like, you know what I mean? If, like that,
I think that's a long shot now.
Like, if you look at the parade last year for the Champions League, that was mental. Like, it's going to be even bigger and more mental than that if winning the league first time in 30 years like that. That's definitely probably not going to happen. But apparently, if it's stuff that's outside in the open, like parades or whatever, there's not much of a danger. But the parade, the Paddy's Day parade was cancelled there today, wasn't it? So like I think the Liverpool celebration will probably be bigger than the Paddy's Day parade. So I don't think it's going to happen. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Look
at the price
I
of
can't see
accommodation all that weekend. It's off the scale. Like.
Yeah. I don't think there'd be many places giving refunds as well. Somehow.
Closing down after.
Yeah.
But it is going to be bizarre getting the trophy in an empty stadium, like, isn't it?
I think they'll try everything. I think they'll try everything to avoid that situation, really. The parade, there's not an awful lot you can do about it. You can't have a bleeding parade when there's still like 6 games to go. It's just, that's just not practical, but it is practical to get that league to Anfield, after the Palace game. And it's on telly. Sky won't object because the game is on Sky. So, everything to me is all laid out for that to happen. And I would say conversations have definitely started behind the scenes to make that a possibility, because it just makes so much sense. And then if we have to play the last few games behind closed doors, so be it. Like, the thing's done and dusted, isn't it? The biggest shame will be if we have to start playing Champions League games behind closed doors.
Yeah, totally.
If we get to quarterfinals and semi-finals of Champions Leagues and they're behind closed doors. I mean, I could only bring myself to watch 15 minutes of that Juventus Inter game. It was so sad.
It's weird.
It was
like a train session, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, for such a Serie A 3-horse race, probably the best title race in years. And to watch that, like, it was such a turn off. I mean, I just decided to throw the Real Madrid game on purely because there was a bleeding crowd watching the game, and it was a complete, the Betis Madrid game was just a much better spectacle rather than watching two teams playing an empty stadium. It was awful.
Yeah. It'd be pretty surreal to watch a quarter-final, Liverpool in the quarter-final of the Champions League if we get through and there's no crowd at Anfield. It'd be mental. Like, yeah. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but it probably will.
It's quite possible now. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to speak a little bit about Player of the Year. I mean, I'd say this has just become really difficult now in the last few weeks. I mean, Hendo's stock has probably risen because he's been out the team, so it's kind of highlighted how good he has been for the other, 24, 25 league games, whatever it was he played before he got injured. I mean, Robbie, where would you be at the moment with player of the season? I mean, Alisson's another one. You take him out the team and you see what your alternative is, and that comes into focus as well.
True. I've always been in the Mane camp.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah. I think he's been pretty consistent over the season.
Yeah.
He really can turn it on when he wants it. And
he bags important goals.
Yeah, he gets important goals, and God, that shot against the bar on the weekend was, if that had went in, that would have been some goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
That was outrageous.
I think he's, and to be fair as well, Salah has started to. I've been impressed with Salah's performances over the last few weeks since he came back.
When he looks good, he looks really good, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But then other games, he just seems like nothing's coming off for him.
Frustrating,
Yeah.
But to get 20 goals for 3 seasons in a row isn't bad.
Going,
you know what I mean?
No.
He's doing okay, but I like Salah. I like the way he plays. I like the way he can be unpredictable, and he's maybe he was a bit too getting involved with defenders a bit too much there against Atletico, that he had to be pulled off. But I like his attitude, and for me, he'd be the player. Like Henderson's been great and all that, but I think a lot of that as well is that the media are kind of. I'm not saying he's being hyped up. He is a great player, and don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but I think
the English media. Because of the England. Yeah.
No, he's definitely up there. But Mane for me would be my choice anyway.
I mean, Mane, good point about that first leg against Atletico. Mane's got a massive point to prove on Wednesday night. I mean, he should be extremely motivated if he can channel that. If he can channel that in the right way on Wednesday, he could end up being unplayable there. He could end up being the winner, the decider of that whole tie. Barry, for you?
Yeah, I'd say Mane as well. I think obviously with his form the last while hasn't been amazing, but he's still, he got that important goal at the weekend. He was kind of giving the ball away a bit, but he still, when the chances fall to him, he scores. And I think people maybe forget a little bit, the first half of the season, how unbelievable he was and how consistent and how many games he won for us. You go back to that period and you kind of forget about it now because it feels so far away, but it's the same season. And without him in the team in the first half of the season, we definitely wouldn't have the points we have. So, yeah, there's a shout there for Henderson as well, and especially, anyone who was doubting his importance, you can see it in the last few games without having him in the team. But I think, for what he's done for the team, I'd say over the course of the season, I'd say Mane. But yeah, it is a difficult decision. There's no one really standing out, for the full length of the season. But I think till the end of the year, I think Mane will prove that he's been the best player. I'd say he'll get it.
And Gar, would you be a firm believer that it will be a Liverpool player who will get player of the season? Yeah, player of the year.
Yeah, I think Sterling fell off at Christmas, didn't he? I think he was the one that was going to.
Yeah,
be
and De Bruyne just keeps missing games, doesn't he?
Yeah, I just think there's arguments for both Mane and Henderson. Does Mane get the players one, and does Henderson get the Riders one?
Yeah.
Because obviously that Rider over stuff, and he's just done the Champions League and all that rejection he's had over a few years, and we've just heard a podcast recently where the Carrigan one where he's talked about the rejection and coming back for it. As you say, the English media love all that.
Yeah.
Going into a
bit
Euro,
of an underdog, isn't he?
Yeah, going
really?
to a Euros as well.
Yeah.
Can be the talk of a lot of arguments on TV and of social media as well. I just think for me, Mane has been amazing. What the voting's done last month, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Okay.
I don't know. I just have a sneaky feeling Henderson wins it though.
And we think good luck to him. Do you know?
Yeah. And we think Trent's a shoe in for young player.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Them numbers for assists for a right fuller are off the charts.
And manager of the year, Chris Wilder.
In my opinion, it's Wilder. He's been unbelievable, hasn't he?
He's going to get Champions League.
He's done a great job, hasn't he? He's done an unbelievable job.
He's fair play to him. Like, I mean, I don't know where that season's come from, because I mean, you know, they should, by all rights, they should be down there scrapping for their lives, shouldn't they?
And you've got players on that side who probably others wouldn't have touched.
I mean, Billy Sharp's even getting a few goals now. Yeah. I mean, journeyman of the lower leagues. Some of them defenders. I mean, even just look at the bleeding fancy football.
O'Connell, Lundstrom, Mufti,
Baldock, Ender Stevens. Oh my God, becoming household names.
They've been very good, haven't they? And
yeah,
obviously Warder's done a huge job mentally with them as well.
Leicester are back in it, lads.
And Leicester are back. Oh, league's not done yet. So
I mean, 17 wins out of 9 remaining games. There's always the danger when you're going for a league, when you're going for your first league title in 30 years.
I can't believe I was getting worried about them at one stage. I was like, hell. You know,
I mean, Spurs are still in it technically.
See you later, Villa.
Yeah, like, let's finish on this, actually. Let's finish on who we think's going down. I mean, Norwich are done and dusted. I mean, Villa are looking more like relegation candidates every week. I mean, who's the one kind of potential surprise, would you say, who's going down? I can see you're busy looking at the league table now, but I mean, Bournemouth, obviously, you know, they looked okay against us and they got a point against Chelsea, but they're in danger. West Ham, you know, they pull out a result every now and again, and then they look dire for another 3 weeks.
Watford was like normal service resumed there.
Yeah, what was that all about?
Beating us 3-0.
Yeah.
Like a bastard.
So they're back in it as well, aren't they? I mean, Newcastle seem to be doing enough to get themselves away from danger. Brighton seem to be getting picking up a point here and there.
I think Bournemouth will go. I'd say Watford, Norwich and Bournemouth, I'd say.
That's bottom 3 now. Bottom 3, Bournemouth, Villa.
Yeah.
Norwich, yeah.
Oh, how many points are Watford over?
They're level with Bournemouth, 27. And West Ham, 27.
I think West Ham will.
I'd love to see West Ham go down.
I'd love to see Moyes go down.
Go down and blow your bubbles, Moisey.
I don't, because he has a bit of experience getting out of that, doesn't he? So I think he'll probably lift him out.
I think there's I seem to see that there's a massive game on the last day of the season, which will probably be, given, you know, everything else is probably going to be done and dusted. I'd say Sky on the last weekend of the season, they're going to be concentrating on probably
the relegation
battle. Yeah. But the last game of the season, the one that stands out for the game being on Sky is West Ham against Villa. Last game. Yeah. That has all the hallmarks of being the one that potentially decides who goes down. Last game of the season, you've got like Bournemouth at Everton, probably going to need something. Watford at Arsenal. It's not a great place to go last game of the season, but you never know with them. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think Bournemouth. I think Eddie Howe's kind of luck has kind of ran out, really. He's had loads of injuries through the season, to be fair to him. But even now with some players back like Ake and whatnot, they're still not getting enough points. Even with like Wilson, you know, scoring, not Harry Wilson, Callum Wilson scoring. I mean, Joshua King's back. Is Joshua King back now? Is he? Has he been playing some minutes?
Yeah,
is he? Yeah. But look, they were relying on goals from him, weren't they? And they're not getting anything from him. Stanislas is getting a game, but he's been very in and out. I just think their luck's ran out, really.
He doesn't sound very positive, does he, in his after match? So if he's like that after the games and interviews, what's he like in the dressing room with the players? So that's going to come across to them as well. And they just look a bit all out of luck, as you said. They've done well till being in the Premier League for so long.
They've overachieved massively. Look at that stadium.
Yeah, totally.
You know, what is it, 13,000, 14,000?
I imagine he hates us as well. For Jordan Ibe, Smith.
Brad Smith for
Solanke.
Yeah.
I'd say he hates us.
Bringing Dominic Solanke off the bench looking for goals. I mean, you know,
He's
we're giving out about bringing Divock on, but come on. At least we're not throwing big Dom Solanke on, are we? Looking for last minute winners or whatever. I mean, it's pretty dire. Right, okay, well, look, we're in better humour this week. Last week we were discussing defeats and talking about FA Cups, and look, we're 2 wins away, maybe not even that, from winning our first league in 30 years. And who knows, this exact time next week, 88 minutes on the clock here, we could be witnessing all those Liverpool fans going absolutely bananas in one corner of Goodison Park, about to see us win our first league in 30 years. So look, I'm not convinced we'll be in here recording this next week. We will have to wait and see what happens between now and then. But we will be back at some point, maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday, and we'll see you then.